as an insecure attachment style. Mother hunger is the term that describes what insecure attachment feels like. A hunger for belonging, for affection, and for security that doesn't go away despite all kinds of psychological gymnastics. Signs of insecure attachment. For insecurely attached children and adults, emotional distress is more challenging than for those with secure attachment. Missing early nurturance, insecurely attached children and adults struggle to work well with others, withdrawing or isolating when afraid. Insecurely attached people can be excessively dependent and have less patience and flexibility than their securely attached peers. Memory is compromised. Less likely to make long-term friends, insecurely attached people struggle with loneliness. Some can be aggressive during conflict. The numbers of people with insecure attachment are so significant that it makes absolutely no sense to pathologize this human experience. In fact, insecure attachment could be considered normal if we dared use such a word. Psychological adaptations to insecure attachment, mental health issues, addictions, other health problems, are about lack of support, not moral weakness. Lack of nurturance damages brain circuits meant for connection and strengthens circuits designed for preservation. In this way, insecure attachment is a setup for potential ongoing loneliness. Insecure attachment explains the common experience many of us share, the craving for something or someone to end the pain of isolation. Absence of maternal comfort and protection can form an attachment injury before higher functions like explicit memory, cognition, and logic are developed. It's difficult to talk about something we can't remember. Women with insecure attachment describe feeling heavy, numb, or agitated without knowing why. Struggles with symptoms of depression, dysthymia, or generalized anxiety are common. Third-degree mother hunger, which we will discuss in Chapter 8, share symptoms with bipolar disorder and borderline personality disorder. Mother hunger clears up confusion around these symptoms, illuminating the inner heartbreak beneath them. Women with secure maternal connections can't relate to the despair and shame that go with mother hunger. It's not because they aren't well-meaning or don't have periods of grief. Securely attached women simply don't have mother hunger. It's unimaginable to them. They lean into the warmth of their mothers when life is hard, and they celebrate the happy times together. They ask for help when they need it. Securely attached daughters share milestones and other joys with their mothers, whether a marriage, a promotion, a simple recipe, or the birth of a baby. The ongoing interactions between mothers and daughters remain an intimate, formative part of life. Insecurely attached women, on the other hand, can't relate to warm mother-daughter relationships. They learn very young not to go toward their mothers when they were frightened or sad, and sometimes even when they were happy, because they knew that joy might threaten their emotionally fragile mother. Women recall nicknames that made them feel needy and ashamed, as if they were too much work for their mothers. Some talk about being pushed away when they needed a hug. Others felt overwhelmed with their mother's neediness. Without healthy maternal nurturance, little girls may grow up with an implicit, embodied sense that I'm alone and it's my fault. Thoughts like these create shame, a self-loathing that gets in the way of self-care, healthy relationships, and genuine moments of joy. Shame feels like a locked cage. Dr. Jean Baker Miller coined the term condemned isolation to describe this experience of isolation and shame. Sarah Payton, author of Your Resonant Self, calls it alarmed aloneness. The fact that there are multiple names to capture the agony of shame and isolation shows that you are not the only one if you struggle with this pain.
How are you?
In my practice, I have yet to treat a securely attached woman for mother hunger. But I've had lots of opportunities to explore the diversity of insecure attachment. Insecure attachment is generally divided into two categories, anxious or avoidant. We'll cover both of those types here. Disorganized attachment, a rich, complex category, sometimes called fearful avoidant attachment, is often overlooked or misunderstood. For this reason, I will cover disorganized attachment more thoroughly in Chapter 8 as it applies to third-degree mother hunger.
Third degree?
Attachment style categories are helpful when conceptualizing human behavior, but keep in mind that they were created for research purposes, not to label us. Learning about and understanding the different nuances of attachment is simply for your own awareness. Awareness brings that light bulb moment when an implicit memory suddenly makes sense and can travel into the part of the brain that gives you access to logic and change. This is how you rewrite a story for healing. As we review avoidant and anxious attachment, it's helpful to know that no one fits completely in either category. In fact, your attachment style can fluctuate depending on who you're in relationship with. Avoidant attachment. Children with avoidant attachment learn to shut down their feelings at a very young age. Most create emotional space from people as a defensive measure, a way to avoid rejection or suffocation. As adults, women with avoidant attachment tend to be linear thinkers. Discussing emotions or feelings make avoidant folks very nervous. This attachment style is often referred to as dismissive because in the process of shutting down our own feelings, we struggle to relate to how others feel in a genuine way.
That makes sense.
I've found two primary ways that avoidant attachment happens. Undermothering. The primary caregiver was frequently unable to respond. She abandoned her child too early and too often, leaving unrepaired separation distress that damaged early bonding. The absence of nurturance required the child to surrender efforts to reach her mother. If no one else came to soothe her distress, the avoidant personality structure began as a way to shut down the need for human comfort and tolerate the intolerable. Or overmothering. The primary caregiver was suffocating. For infants, overmothering really isn't an issue. Lots of nurturing is better than not enough. But in time, overmothered daughters have difficulty getting space from a mother who is engulfing. In clinical circles, we call this phenomenon enmeshment. Enmeshment happens when a mother's need for companionship and affirmation overwhelms her child's capacity for autonomy and care. This role reversal asks daughters to nurture the mother instead of the other way around. Enmeshment is an insidious form of neglect. It is the inverse of nurturance. As teenagers and adults, enmeshed daughters are confused by the anger and frustration they have toward their mothers, who seem so nice. The therapist might unwittingly coach them to be more patient, turning a blind eye to the heavy burden these daughters are carrying. In this way, anger that an enmeshed daughter feels is ignored, and it may turn into depression. Without appropriate intervention, these daughters lose validation and don't recognize that their anger is a friend, tapping them on the shoulder to notice that something is wrong. We'll take a closer look at this type of mother-daughter enmeshment in Chapter 7. Avoidant women can be very charming initially, giving the impression they are emotionally present. Generally, this is a learned behavior and not a measure of availability. As adults, women with avoidant attachment often feel suffocated or trapped by their closest companions. Distancing behaviors that most of us use with strangers in an elevator or on a subway are default gestures for avoidant women. Unconsciously, their body language and facial expressions communicate, back off, or leave me alone. Women with avoidant attachment easily miss cues for closeness from others and are frustrated when those around them need reassurance, judging them as needy or inferior. Judgment is a psychological adaptation, sheltering the tender attachment injury underneath. This self-preservation strategy creates a false sense of power, upsetting the balance in any relationship. Because these avoidance strategies are primitive, implicit adaptations to unbearable emotional pain, they are largely unconscious, causing confusion for women when friends or partners point them out. Since we live in a culture that values independence over interdependence, women with avoidant attachment style are frequently affirmed for their achievements, ambition, and strength. They typically feel more powerful than others. A calm disposition, charming wit, or super active personality can hide a deep well of insecurity from themselves and anyone else. Women with an avoidant attachment style are typically attracted to people who are more anxiously attached and more invested in the relationship, in an unconscious attempt to maintain control and the illusion that everything is okay. This is how they get their needs for closeness met without asking. Asking for connection requires vulnerability, and emotional vulnerability isn't tolerable for women with avoidant attachment. Avoidantly attached women believe they are actually stronger and more independent than they are. They get bored easily and use their friends and partners to generate energy and activity to keep them engaged. For these reasons, women with avoidant attachment can take a long time to identify mother hunger. It generally takes a crisis for an avoidantly attached woman to access her sadness and vulnerability. The threat of a significant loss, such as a relationship that really matters or a career opportunity, touches her deep fears of abandonment and causes an avalanche of sorrow that may spur on her healing. Anxious attachment. Unlike avoidantly attached women, women with anxious attachment know something is off with their relational patterns. They typically feel ashamed of their emotional needs. When culture devalues relationships and connection, the anxiously attached woman gets labeled needy, clingy, or dependent as she tries to bond with others. In truth, women who are anxiously attached have cravings for closeness that are hard to satisfy. However, this isn't pathology. It's simply a form of mother hunger. Anxious attachment happens when mothers aren't tuned into their daughters in predictable ways. Mothers who have difficulty showing affection or have frequent unexplained mood swings create anxious daughters. Overly rigid and perfectionistic mothers may also create anxious daughters. Mothers who feel overwhelmed by a child's natural needs have facial expressions and body language that may cause a daughter to feel hurt and ashamed, leaving behind the question, am I unlovable? As adults, anxiously attached women lack the inner structure to be comfortable with themselves and others. They crave closeness with friends and partners, but are easily jealous and quick to anger. Adapted to deprivation, they have learned there's a limited love supply. Their emotional intensity sometimes looks like a baby or toddler in a protest state, having a tantrum, crying, screaming, or pouting to bring someone close. Anxiously attached women may rage, pout, starve, or seek revenge when they detect abandonment, even by their own daughters. Women with an anxious attachment style have the same need for autonomy as anyone else, but they don't feel it. For them, being alone is torture, and the concept of restorative solitude is unimaginable. Change is possible. Although we each have a dominant attachment style, we can change a bit based on the particular relationship we find ourselves in. For example, even if you're naturally avoidant in your relationships, if your best friend tends to need a lot of alone time, you might experience confusion or insecurity with her. Likewise, if you identify with anxious attachment, you might feel suffocated in a relationship with someone else who also has an anxious attachment style. Regardless of your attachment style, it's very possible to create what researchers call an earned secure attachment. In other words, you can change your attachment style. As you restore and reclaim the maternal elements you didn't have, you can build a new sense of security. Healing efforts change neural health and fill in the places where early connections should have been. Just as regular exercise strengthens your body, efforts to restore nurturance, protection, and guidance strengthen your brain. Earned security takes conscious effort, but you are taking the first most important step right now, gaining awareness. Many women earn security with help from a therapist. Some build an inner sense of security with the support of good friends, partners, and even pets. Depending on the severity of your mother hunger, the ingredients for enhancing your attachment style will vary. You might be interested in an online version of the Experiences in Close Relationships scale to take a closer look at your attachment style. Please refer to the link in the supplemental PDF. We will take a comprehensive look at what healing looks like in Chapter 9, but helpful practices are included throughout the audiobook.
If you want a copy
In the next
of
chapter,
if you want a copy of the PDF, send me an email so that I can send you a copy of the PDF that's attached, so that whenever it's time for us to work on everything together, you'll have it.
we'll explore the essential element of maternal nurturance, which has a dramatic impact on how we develop an attachment style and whether or not we know what love feels like. Chapter 3. Nurturance. Nurturance is the first...
Oh wow, I didn't realize we were already on chapter 3. Okay, we're not gonna do chapter 3 until tomorrow because I got a late start today. So we'll come back tomorrow and do chapters both 3 and 4 and possibly 5 because they're all really short chapters. Chapter 3 is nurturance. Chapter 4 is surrogate comfort. And then chapter 5 is toxic waters. Chapter 6 is protection, and it's over an hour long. So again, if you want the PDF, make sure that you send me an email with your email address so that I can send it to you, because these chapters seem to be going by much quicker when I'm not reading. When I'm not reading, they seem to go by so much faster. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I read slow, or Maybe it's because I talk too much whenever we're reading. I don't know. But they did seem to go by incredibly fast. I was not expecting to be folding my laundry and already be like done with chapter 2. Anyways, so far I'm really liking the book because I feel like I'm learning things that I didn't already know, and I always appreciate learning new things. I think as a person that is living a human experience, I think it's really important that we continue to educate our mind and ourselves. Hey, girl. We continue to educate our mind and elevate ourselves so that we can become better people. And just like knowledge is power. The more knowledge you have, the less that people are able to manipulate and lie to you about what's going on. So having knowledge means that you aren't worried about being manipulated or taken advantage of or being lied to by somebody because you have the knowledge yourself. So I feel like anytime you are able to learn something new, like I love learning something new. So anytime I'm able to learn something new, I'm going to take the time to learn because I want to make sure that I'm not taken advantage of by anybody out in society, because there's a lot of people out there that have nefarious intentions, and you don't know when you're going to come up with somebody who has those intentions. So if you educate yourself and you empower yourself with knowledge, you are able to hold conversation with anyone. And being able to hold conversation with anyone is very important. So that's why I spend a lot of my time just soaking in as much information as I possibly can. I did not hear what happened with Nick's trial. I have not really spent a lot of time in the gypsy sphere lately, just because I feel like everybody is starting to get really petty with like picking on every little thing that she's doing. Those things are not helpful. It's not helpful to talk about, oh, she went to a concert. Oh, she had cigarettes in her bag. Who gives a fuck? It's not against the law for her to go to a concert. It's not against the law for her to smoke cigarettes. Who cares? It takes away, yes, genocide. It takes away from the bigger issues, the manipulation, the lying, the control, all of those things, the deception. It takes away from us focusing on the bigger picture. And when you focus on these small trivial things and call her parole officer because she went to a concert and they were drinking there, I've explained this several fucking times. Parole officers do not care what you are doing out here in society as long as you are not reoffending. So if she had gone to the concert and had knifed somebody there, immediate offense. If she had gone to the concert and gotten in trouble for drunk and disorderly, immediate offense. If she goes into a liquor store and holds them up, immediate offense. But they're not going to violate her for being around people who are drinking, for going to a concert where people are drinking, for staying the night over at Ken's house. Like, they're not going to violate her for that shit. So talking about it and being upset about it is not helpful. It just makes you look stupid and petty. So I have taken a step back from the gypsy sphere. I will say that I did watch the most recent trailer, and where she's talking about people don't think that I'm going to be a good mother because of what my mother did to me. No, Gypsy. People don't think that you're going to be a good mother because of what you did to your own mother. The fact that she continues to disassociate herself from her actual crime tells everyone what they need to know. She is continuously deflecting accountability, not taking accountability, and disassociates herself like she didn't do anything wrong. Why are we making such a big deal about it? Because she didn't do anything. It was all Nick. That's what she wants everybody to think. And even after being out of prison for over a year, getting pregnant, having a baby, she still is unable to take accountability for what she did and hold herself responsible for her own actions. And that, Gypsy, is why people have a problem with you being a mother, because you are unable to take accountability for your own behavior, your own negative actions, your own poor choices. If you can't take accountability for your own poor choices, what makes anybody think that you're going to be a good mother? You have to be able to take accountability for your actions if you want to model good behavior to a child. You can't deflect, and blame everybody else and pretend like you're the victim and be a good parent. It's impossible. Yeah, people would respect her so much more if she actually took accountability for her behavior and made real change. Because accountability is not just saying, oh, I hold myself accountable. No, it's actually making change. And so far, since she's been out, she has not made any changes. No changes to her behavior in any way, shape, or form. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Hold a fire to my words. When Ken breaks up with Gypsy, she is going to keep that baby away from him. She is going to dangle that child in front of him like it is a toy. And she's not going to allow his family to see that child if he doesn't fall in line with the things that she wants him to do. And if he doesn't have a court order already in place, when that day comes and they are not together, he and his family are going to severely suffer the loss of any type of relationship with Aurora. So my advice to Ken, if you are listening, get yourself an attorney and establish some legal custody for yourself, some legal communication guidelines for yourself, so that when that time comes, you are prepared. Because when you are not prepared, you suffer. I used to have I have a saying, and it says, proper preparation prevents poor performance. It doesn't matter what you're performing. Being properly prepared will prevent you from negative consequences later. It doesn't matter how great of a relationship you're having right now, because as soon as things sour, that shit changes. Yes. She's going to hold a lot of things over his head. She's going to make the courts feel like she's the superior parent, this, that, and the other. And he and his family are going to suffer a lifetime of manipulation if he does not take action now. Now, he needs to take action now. Hey, y'all. So, I'm not going to stay on. I'm getting ready to go because, hey, Harriet, thank you for coming to my book club. We're actually getting ready to get off because I need to get ready for bed. Did y'all know it's supposed to snow? It's literally supposed to snow here again. It's so nice to meet you, Harrietta. I'm sorry, Harriet. It's so nice to meet you. Yeah, it's supposed to snow again, so we'll see. I don't really know if it is going to, because sometimes they say it's going to, and then they don't. Okay. So, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you know anything about North Carolina and South Carolina, Charlotte is on the border of North and South Carolina. Oh, okay. Yeah, they're talking about getting 10 inches of snow in some places, like even Texas. So I'm just like holding on, trying to see like what's actually going to happen. The temperatures are already getting low. Like right now, it's 42, and overnight it's going to get down to 30, 33. So not freezing, but apparently tomorrow it is supposed to start like snowing. We'll see. Yeah, it says by 11 a.m. we've got a 40% chance, 50% chance by noon, and then it'll start raining, and then it'll change back to snow again. I know. What do you do for work? I'm a dog groomer. I own a mobile dog grooming business, and it's really difficult whenever I am driving that van to be out in the weather. So I'm hoping that I can actually work tomorrow and Thursday without any interference with the weather. Good news is that I don't have a lot to do tomorrow. So even if it does, oh, I bet that's a fun kind of experience and job to have. Hold on, you guys. I need to fix something. Did y'all see that Gypsy went live the other day? I didn't watch a lot of it. I watched some of it on Nina's page because she was talking about it. But I've been trying to like keep myself away from that and all of the drama. Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying that because life is too short to go to a job you fucking hate. Life is just way too short to do anything that you don't absolutely love doing. That's why I enjoy hanging out with you guys. And I enjoy my job. I really do. I have a hard time getting up in the morning, so I'd love some encouragement with that. Yeah, the whole entire thing is just becoming extremely negative, and like I don't I prefer to spend my time on things that are more positive. No, I'm not scared to get bit by a dog because I don't accept dogs that are like vicious that bite. So I've been bit before several times, um, many times. Um, but I want to spend this year like focusing my energy on things that I can really make a difference in and putting positive energy into. And while last year I did spend a lot of time like trying to expose her manipulative ways and that sort of thing, if something happens and I can relate it back to, manipulation, narcissism, and that sort of thing, I will talk about it because that's education. But I'm definitely not going to engage in the gossip and the drama and the content creator feuds. Like, I'm not interested in any of that. I just have so much positive going on in my life that participating in anything negative could potentially sour other things that are, everything else that's going positive in my life, because all it takes is one negative thing to ruin everything else. So I just find that it's better to like stay away. Yeah, I want to hear about the important things. I did like I'm a human and I care about some of the things that they say, like she was on that live and she wasn't wearing a bra, and it's like, girl, if you're gonna get on live, at least if you don't want to wear a bra, at least cover up. Like, nobody wants to see your boobs hanging down to your knees. It's disgusting, right? Like, I can agree that there are some things that are worth talking about and mentioning. But all these other little trivial things, like her having cigarettes in that clear bag and her going to a concert and her leaving the baby, look, just because we would not leave our baby at 1 month old does not mean that it's not okay for her to do it, right? That's her kid. If she wants to leave her baby every fucking weekend, that's her choice to do. Yes, she's going to be judged for it. She will be judged for it. And you know what? She has a lot of people on TikTok that no longer support her anymore because of her own actions and behaviors. And now she's kind of headed over to Instagram and is doing lives on Instagram and that sort of thing. Eventually, people are gonna on Instagram are gonna not want to have anything to do with her there either, because they're going to see that she's a manipulative, lying piece of shit. So it's all in a matter of time, but because she craves attention so much, she's going to ultimately be her own downfall. We just have to wait for it. It's going to happen. We just have to wait for it. But picking apart all the small things that she's doing and being petty is not helpful. It's not beneficial for anyone, especially everyone who wants to see her being held accountable for all of the things that she's done wrong. Picking apart all these small things is not going to hold her accountable for the big things that she's done. And that's what I'd like to see her held accountable for, the big things. And like I said, I am going to make a video talking about how Ken needs to go ahead and get an attorney and the things that he needs to prepare for as a father of a child born to a narcissistic mother. Like, I understand what that life is like because I've lived Aurora's life. I've already lived it. You know, I had a narcissistic mother who purposely and intentionally kept me away from my father because they weren't together anymore. And that's exactly what's going to happen with Aurora and Ken if he doesn't seek legal counsel now and establish some rights for himself. All right, you guys, I'm going to go because I need to get in the shower, but I love you so much. I'll see you back here tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all have a wonderful evening.